we've discussed consent and why it's important and how young people are learning about consent, how do we actually talk about it with young people? How do we bring it up? So remember that consent does not have to be this like big talk that we're having with young people. And so it can be helpful to think about the type of environment that we're in. So you can ask yourself things like, did someone share a specific situation with you? Was it happening in front of other people? Did you notice a situation where consent needs to be addressed? Is it something that you want to share with a group of young people or an individual young person? So take a second to kind of identify, right, what is the place that you're having this conversation, and that can sort of help us set the stage. So you probably have kind of a typical place that you would be having that conversation in your working life. So take a moment and think about that and write down sort of where is the most likely place? Is it a one-on-one thing? Is it a classroom? Where would you be having this conversation? When we're talking about bringing up consent, we want to mention why you're bringing it up. So there are several reasons that you might want to discuss consent with a young person. It's not just that specific situation that happened. You are helping them build a lifelong skill. You are teaching them self-advocacy skills. You're helping them understand what a safe space is. The list goes on. So on your worksheet, you have options. You can mark sort of what are the kinds of things that come up for you when you think about talking about consent. It's important that young people understand it's not necessarily just about this particular thing, but it's about this bigger idea of how we are in the world. Talking about boundaries can be a great way to kind of segue to talking about consent. So you can think about on your worksheet, how would you explain what a boundary is? And one way that we like to think about boundaries are sort of lines that protect our well-being. So in physical and mental and emotional ways, it's kind of that line that helps us be physically or emotionally or mentally safe, etc. Okay. A great way to think about helping young people understand what consent is and kind of the elements of setting up consent and respecting someone's boundaries is this amazing acronym FRIES, which stands for freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, and specific. So let's break this down. FRIES, freely given. So the F in freely given, or the F in FRIES, means that all parties involved are free to say yes or no without any consequences. The other parties will listen to this person's answer, and that's it. In saying yes or no, there will not be coercion or force to get this person to change their mind. It also means that person's not going to like pout and guilt trip the other person, right? Which is a thing that I think happens quite a lot. The R stands for reversible. So everyone has the right to change their mind. If they said yes to something and then changed their mind, their answer must be respected. Even if they said yes and started the activity and then said, you know what, this is not for me, or I don't feel like it anymore, they have the right to change their mind, to not participate at any time. Informed means all the information is provided about whatever activity someone is saying yes or no to. So when all the information is provided, this helps someone make the best decision for themselves. So as an example, if a friend asks you to go on a hike this upcoming weekend, you can say yes or no. But if they ask you to go on a hike and then the day of, you learn that the hike is going to take 6 hours, you are allowed to change your mind because you might have given a different answer if you had had all the information beforehand. Enthusiastic is really just saying that everyone involved is excited, that they're pumped, that they're looking forward to this activity. Having everyone involved be excited for something means they're all in. There is no doubt that this is a yes for them about this activity. One thing that sort of is always confusing and puzzling to me when we talk about consent is folks who are willing to keep moving forward with something when it's clear that the other person is not enthusiastic. I always wonder sort of, why would you want to be doing anything with someone who doesn't really want to be there, right? Whether that's going to see a movie or having sex, if the other person's clearly not into it, why are we going along? And that is, I think it's really great to talk about this more explicitly with young people. And lastly, we have specific. So specific is really about consenting to one thing. So if someone says yes to one thing, they are not saying yes to another or a different thing. Similarly, even someone can even though someone has consented to that same activity in the past, does not mean that they are consenting to it now or in the future.